Hey everyone, so I'm going to do a video on systems of equations with three variables. So this is a system with three variables, so I have three equations working together with three variables. In this case, we have x, y, and z. So I break this down into steps. The maximum amount of steps you can have for this scenario is 5. If you went over 5, then you probably did something wrong. So I usually label it, so step 1. In any scenario, step 1, you're going to try to find a variable by looking at the systems and see if one of them cancels out right away. And by looking at this system, I notice that the first equation and the last equation can cancel out x right away. So I'm going to put those on top of each other. So x plus 2y minus 3z equals 9, and then minus x plus 3y minus 4z equals 15. Okay, so now what I'm going to do is I'm going to combine these equations where the x's cancel. I end up getting 5y minus 7z equals 24. This is called a key equation because I'm going to use it again. Now in step 2, I'm going to do exactly the same thing, canceling out the exact same variable. It's very important that in step 2 you cancel out the same variable. So I'm going to pick equation 2 because I haven't used it yet. And I'm also going to pick equation 3. The reason why I'm picking equation 3 is because it will cancel out x because it has a negative. But I do need the second equation to have a 2. So I'm going to put a 2 here. And what I'm going to do is multiply it into every single piece. So the top equation will stay the same. And the bottom equation is going to become negative 2x plus 6y minus 8z equals 30. Okay, these will cancel out. I'll combine this to become 5y minus 6z equals 22. And this is another key equation. Now what I'm going to do in step 3 is I'm going to take those two key equations and put them on top of each other. So I'm going to put 5y minus 7z equals 24 on top of 5y minus 6z equals 22. This is kind of a nice scenario because the y's have the same number. They just don't cancel out yet. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a negative on the outside of the second one and distribute that negative in to every piece. This will allow me to cancel out the y's. So at this point, I'm just going to solve for a variable. And in this case, I'm solving for y because if you noticed before, they both have the same letter. So these cancel, well, the same number. These cancel out. This becomes negative z equals 2. I'm going to divide by negative 1. I end up getting z equals negative 2. My first number. And what I'm going to do with that number is I'm going to plug it into one of my key equations. It does not matter which one you pick, but you do have to plug it into one of them. So I'm going to pick the first one. So in step 4, I'm going to plug into this equation. So I'm going to rewrite 5y, but I'm going to plug in the z. I end up getting 5y plus 14 equals 24. I'm going to subtract 14, and I end up crossing these off and getting 5y equals 10. Dividing by 5, I get a y value of 2. Now the only thing I'm missing is x, and what I'm going to do to find x in step 5, which is my final step, is I'm going to take one of the original equations. It does not matter which one you pick. I'm going to pick the first one. So I'm going to plug it into the first equation. So my first equation is x plus 2y minus 3z equals 9. So x plus 2y minus 3z equals 9. I'm going to plug in what I know. I'm looking for x. The y value is 2. Minus 3 times negative 2 equals 9. This becomes x plus 4 plus 6 equals 9. That becomes x plus 10 equals 9. And I'm going to subtract 10. And I end up getting my value of x equals negative 1. And that's my answer. Now there is a way for you to check this on your calculator. It's very simple. What you do is you're first going to press second and matrix. Matrix is above the x to the negative first symbol on the calculator. So really you're pressing the x to the negative first button. Once you get to matrix, go to math. So second matrix, you're going to go to the right and go to math. And you're going to go to REF. It's choice B. Then on your calculator, what's going to happen is you're going to see this. And what you need to press now is alpha zoom. And what will pop up is like rows and columns. What we need is a 3 by 4. So what you're going to do is plug in the coefficients from the systems of equations. So in this case, it'd be 1, 2, -3, 9, and then 2, -1, 2, and -8, and then -1, 3, -4, and 15. When you do that and you press enter, it ends up giving you 1, 0, 0, -4, 1, 0, 0, -1, okay, and then it also gives you 0, 1, 0, 2, and then 0, 0, 1, -2. This is telling you your x, your y, and your z value. And if you notice, x, y, and z was -1, 2, and -2. The next one, if you notice, we are missing variables. We're missing a variable here and here. But it's not that big of a deal. It actually makes our lives easier. So you're going to want to cancel out a variable. I canceled out z. I took equations 2 and 3. So in my step 1, I'm going to take equations 2 and 3 and put them on top of each other. I'm going to cancel out z by multiplying this by 3. So it becomes 3y minus 3z equals 3. And the bottom one stays the same. What happens here is that these cancel, and you end up getting 2x plus 4y equals -18. I'm going to use this equation. Now, if you notice, this equation has x and y. So if I look at my original, I actually have another one that has x and y, and that's the top one. So those are my two key equations. And that's what I'm going to put in step 2. I'm going to put the original and the one I just made. 2x plus 4y equals -18. Okay, I'm going to pick a number or pick a letter to cancel. I'm going to choose to cancel x in this case. I'm going to do that by multiplying the top by -2. That'll allow me to cancel out the x's because the bottom equation has positive 2. So I'm going to keep the bottom one. And these cancel, and we end up getting 2y equals -10. Divide by 2. We know now y equals -5. And now we're really home free because now we just need to find z and x. And it's actually going to be very simple because in the original equations we have equations with only 2 variables. So in step 3, I know y, so I'm going to pull either of these. I'm going to choose to pull the first one first to find x, and I'm plug in -5. I'm going to add over the 5, and that ends up giving me the x value of 1. And then in step 4, I want to pick the second equation, which is y minus z equals 1. I know y is -5. I'm going to add 5 over. I get -z equals 6, divide by -1, and z is equal to -6. Okay, I hope this video helped you guys on systems of 3 variables, and I'll see you soon.